guys, in this video I'm going to show you what I made in one of the Facebook Lives I did the other week. We had to play around with some heart-shaped cutters. Just for Valentine's we thought we'd do some little faces on hearts. Now these you can make as biscuits or as cake toppers, up to you, but I'm going to use the Saracino modelling paste for this. So this is modelling paste, guys, that I'm using. It doesn't set really hard though, so if you do want to use it on top of cookies, you could do, but I would suggest if you're going to put these on top of cookies that you go for fondant rather than modelling paste. But if it's a cake topper and you want it to be really firm, go for the modelling paste. Okay, so I've got a set of hearts that I've just cut out my modelling paste with. I've kept them fairly thick because these ones are going to be toppers rather than sort of a layer to cover a biscuit. We've put 2 holes in or marks in for the eye indents and a little mouth using my Dresden tool. I'm going to try and darken around the edge of the pink with the edible powder. Guys, I'm going to put links below the video to everything that I do use in this video. So they are the edible powders that we're using on this. We've gone for one eye bigger, one smaller. So I'm trying to roll an oval of white that will fit in each of those eye sockets that we've done. I've also, I don't know if you saw earlier, I put a little bag under each eye, just with a little line under each eye with my Dresden tool. Then we're going to colour the pupils in using a black edible pen. Apologies, I do like to lean over and get my head in shot quite a bit. So guys, if you want to watch the full length version of this, it's still available over on my Facebook page. I did it as a Facebook Live, as we do like Facebook Lives every Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. And then we cut them down, make them a little bit shorter to put here on as our YouTube video. So eyelids, you want a semicircle that's going to fit above each of these eyes. Now the angle you put them on at is going to determine whether they look angry or just a bit dopey and sad. What heart doesn't want to look angry, eh? So we're going to press those on. If they don't just stick on their own, you can use water or edible glue to hold them in place. Just going to put a little black line on the very edge using my edible pen. Remember guys, I'll put links below to everything that I do use. So I do have an online shop, guys, so I do sell most of the products that I am using within the video. So let's do this one with closed eyes, less angry looking. Again, we're going to just draw the eyelashes on with a pen, using that Dresden tool again to push in another mouth. So just push it in as it is and it gives me the mouth shape. I'm just going to use this pointy little tool. This is a K2220. I don't know if I put the right number of 2s in that then. You might be able to just about see it, but I'll link it below. So I put in little indentations. We'll make this one look more like a strawberry. And then I wanted to have a play around to see what looked better. I was going to put little yellow pearls in, sugar pearls, but I decided I was going to roll teardrops with the modelling paste instead and put them in. So I just put a couple in just to show people for examples. And then I finished it off camera later on. And I'm using a red powder. So you can use the petal palette that I was using earlier, or you can use loose powders. As long as it's edible, it's fine. And we're going to use a star-shaped cutter for like the leafy foliage bit. You could also use the calyx cutter as well, that you can buy for like roses and things. For sugar roses, I should say. So I've cut a big one and a small one. I couldn't decide whether the bigger or smaller was better. I went for the larger one in the end. So I just pressed it on in the middle and then tried to sort of curve the edges over a little bit so it's got a bit more shape to it. And then a little hole in there, and we'll push a little stalk of green into that hole. So we just roll it out, point on one end so that the pointy end will push into the hole. And let's have a go with a bigger heart cutter now. So these are just the PME cutters. So you can use these for making cookies with as well, guys. So I'm going to do a white piece, go a bit thinner than you've done your pink. And what I'm going to do is sort of mark on a line where I want sort of a wavy line so it looks like an icing drip. And then I'm going to cut that out. Now, the tight curves are pretty tricky with the craft knife. I do swap to another craft knife, which has got kind of a swivelly little blade, although it's a very small blade. So it makes things a little bit easier for going around corners, but you do want your icing really thin if you're using a small blade like this one. Again, I'll put links below to what it is that I used. So we're going to darken around the edge of the heart, the bottom edge, because you're not really going to see that top edge. Bit of water on the top, and then we're going to stick that piece of white on there. So it wants to look like icing that's dripping down the heart. And then I think we'll put a couple of sugar sprinkles on. So to make these stick, I've just put some water on the white part of the heart. And it's up to you how many you want to put on there. You go for bigger, smaller, all different kind of shapes. I've got so many different sprinkles already open that I couldn't make up my mind which ones to put on. I was thinking something in pinks would look nicer. And you can get all different kits. So let's use some heart ones out of this sprinkle mix. I think this is called the ice cream mix. Again, I'll put links below, guys. And this one I know has got some large chocolate balls in, which are these pink ones. Okay, let's give this a really simple face. So we're just going to go with, again, some sugar pearls. The really big sugar pearls I have actually got chocolate in the middle. The ones that are smaller are just kind of solid sugar, so a bit harder. So we're just going to push those in there for its little eyes. Just pressing a little mouth again. Just keeping it really simple. Sometimes bulges a bit next to the eyes where I've pushed them in, so you might have to trim some off if it does that. Let's go for a paler pink this time. Just rubbing down the edges, because sometimes when you use the plastic cutters, it can look a bit torn on the edge. So either rub it down with your finger or use the knife to just trim that off. Just be very careful with the knife. Darken the edge. So the powder will show up a bit more on the edge of this one with it being a pale pink heart. I'm going to do the same on both. I'm going to cut out a crown, so I'm using yellow modelling paste. Now the shape of this was a little bit trickier to make, so it's difficult for me to explain the shape of this one really. If you want to slow down the video to watch it, you can do that, guys, so that might help. It does allow you to slow down the video and watch it at a different speed to what I'm doing it. So we've done the crown shape, a little ball on top of each end, bit of water where it's going to go. It has to go fairly far on the heart, otherwise it will just break and knock off the edge. And then 2 little rope bits or sausage shapes to go around near the bottom of my crown. And I've got 2 ovals of pink, so I've used the fuchsia pink. And we're going to put this on for cheeks. So this is the blush to the cheeks. And then we're going to do closed eyes again. This time instead of drawing them on, we're sticking them on. So I've got modelling paste, I've rolled it to a point, but then it gets thicker as it goes along like my little sausage shape. And we just trim it off with the craft knife at a diagonal angle. Just see if we can flick those up at the outer edges. And then I've got 2 ovals of white. We're going to make these into little wings. So I'm going to use my Dresden tool to push in indentations all the way along. So you don't need many. I've pressed in 3 times into that one. So let's do the same on this side. It's a very simple little wings, very basic ones. You can get moulds that do the wing shape for you. So if you prefer to use a mould, you can do. It really is up to you with whatever you find easiest. It depends how many you're making. If you're making lots, a mould might be easier. Or it will certainly speed things up. So guys, if you're going to use them as toppers, so can you see mine are fairly thick? You might want to push like a cocktail stick. So this is one that would go in food. And you can let it set on that stick. And then you can push that into like the top of a cake to hold it upright. So these are thick so that I can do that. But if you're wanting them to go on top of a cookie, so a cookie that's say the same shape as that, same size and shape heart, then you would have made these much thinner than what I have done. So you don't have to go as thick as this, depending on what you're going to use them for. So this last pink one, let's give it slightly more detailed eyes. So I'm going to do 2 teardrop kind of shapes to drop the eyes into. And then let's roll 2 teardrops in white that just fill in those gaps. Then I'm using some black. In fact, it might even be very dark grey this, but black is fine. I'm just having to play around now with whether I think a larger or smaller circle looks nicer for the pupil. You could leave it with one of each, actually. It would work fine as well. But I'm going to go for 2 larger ones. So these are my circle plunger cutters that we're using for this. So I'm just going to press them on, just making sure they're tidy around the edges. And then what I've done is put a little bit line of blue edible pen just around the edges. And I've got some water on my brush, just a little bit of water, and I'm dragging the brush from the blue pen inwards towards the black. So it's very gradual that I'm doing it, but it should bring the pen towards the middle, but it will get lighter as it comes towards the pupil. So instead of it being all one flat colour, you've got a nice bit of shading on there. Or you could just colour one flat colour if you prefer. So I'm just putting a bit of black onto each of the pupils just to darken them a tiny bit. A little bit of water on there as well. And what I've cut out is a tiny star in white. And we're going to push it into each pupil, like so. And I wrote a very tiny ball of white now. Really nice and small. We can stick that in as well. And I'm just going to add a bit of an outline around the outside edge of each eye. I'm not going to go all the way around the edge. I think I'll just go part round, so to about there. You could leave it plain, or you could add little lashes coming off from the edges. So I've gone for the little lashes. like that. Even some little eyebrows. If you do them upwards like that, they tend to look a little bit like they're sad. And then let's make this one some little hands. So little sausage shape, but roll it so you get a little ball on the end. Or squish the ball down. It's like a little spoon shape. Just going to press in at one side so we get like a mitten style hand. Where it's kind of thumb and then the fingers are all joined together. You can do the same for the other arm as well. Oh, sorry guys, my head's in short. And then we can just stick those onto the face. And you can dust a bit of pink on them as well if you want, so it matches with the rest of the heart. And you just want to let those set if you're using them for cake toppers. Like I say, remember, if you're going to do them for cookies, don't go as thick. You can roll them really nice and thin to put on top of like a heart-shaped cookie. So that's it, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please do check out my other Valentine's themed videos. And don't forget, you can catch us on Facebook every Tuesday morning, 10:30 a.m. UK time for live videos. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and leave me a comment below. You can see more of my tutorials by clicking on the images on screen now. If you haven't already, make sure you click the subscribe button to stay up to date with my future tutorials. There are also links in the description box below where you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and more.